The state of the Democratic Party right now is utterly blowing my mind. And it is something that I've always noticed, that no matter how bad things get, there was always something new to utterly blow my mind on how Americans are willing to trash their own democratic system. Now, don't get me wrong, capitalism is not a democracy. But one of the things that has allowed America to go on so long is its veneer of democracy. The fact that people are willing to believe it is, despite all the proof that it isn't. All they have to do is look at the last couple decades, let alone the last couple centuries, to see exactly what really happens. The rich always win, regardless of what party gets into power. And if you present any threat to it in any way, shape, or form, well, you end up like John F. Kennedy. But what's really got my mind blown right now is the amount of cope that many Democrats are on. It could not be any more clear. Biden is not wanted. The Democratic Party does not want Biden at all. The majority of Democratic voters don't want Biden at all. Yet the man will not step down. He knows his time is over. He knows he's not wanted. He knows this is not his place. He knows that he should not be there in the running at all. But he will not let it go for the sake of his own ego. The entire world saw him completely fail at that debate. The only thing he had to do was not look like a confused old man, which is the opposite of what he did. He made himself look worse. He came out weaker than when he went into it. Just about every single piece of democratically aligned media is telling him to quit. His popularity is at the lowest point that it has ever been. People don't want him. Democrats don't want to vote for him. The American people don't want to vote for him at all. And the system is using every ounce of its influence, every single one of its media outlets, through all of its opinion channels, to say, leave, you're done. You're not going to win. People don't want you. Step aside and let someone who can win take its place. And the hilarity, if it weren't so serious, is watching the people who support Biden go through the mental gymnastics necessary to defend Biden still being there. Oh, look, it's just Trump distracting all the media by making everybody look at Biden right now so they don't see what he's doing. What, you mean the same thing he's been doing all along? He's as crooked as the day is long. This isn't a distraction tactic by the Republican Party, which makes them so smart and so technically skilled and brilliant, because they're really not. This exists because the party wants rid of him. They want him to step down and go away because he's done. He's finished. It's over. He needs to be replaced with someone who has a chance of winning. And watching the regular, everyday Democrat people, those left who are still following him, are now accusing Democrat-aligned media of being paid by Trump. Like, they're now going to Alex Jones levels of nonsense in order to cope with the fact that people don't want him. They can't notice that there's a disconnect between popular democratic will, or just democracy in general, and their opinion. And they cannot handle that. They are doing the same thing that they are rightfully pointing a finger at Republicans for. Anytime Trump gets criticized for any of the innumerable criminal things that he's done, oh, it's just a plot by the Democrat-owned, apparently everything, just to get Trump. And now, when their own guy is the one who isn't wanted, they're doing the exact same thing. It's all a conspiracy. It's Democrat-aligned media, which has been Democrat-aligned since it came into existence. All of a sudden is now being paid by Trump. Or the media is making a mistake by just focusing on Biden right now and not focusing on what everything that Trump is doing. When the obvious reality is that the system does not want him. The party does not want him, and they're not willing to just dispose of him. And isn't that so effing ironic? They have done nothing but criticize the Republican Party for not getting rid of Trump when they don't want him. That veneer of democracy is threatened by Trump, who could not have made his criminal intentions any more apparent. And the Republican Party is refusing to stand up to him and try to take the party back from him because they don't care. They just want to win. And they don't care if that man completely destroys democracy for the next 200 years. As long as they can win, and as long as the rich can keep getting everything they want, as long as they can ram anti-abortion down everyone's goddamn throats against their will, while claiming they stand for what the founding fathers did, the separation of church and state, the part that they can conveniently forget. The Republican Party is doing almost the exact same thing. They are refusing to stand up to their leader, who is a danger to their party and is going to make them lose, and will not step down and do what's right for the party because of his own goddamn ego. That is where American politics is right now. Two egomaniacs refusing to even put, and I'm sure some of them even really believe that America is a democracy. And more importantly, to keep up the appearance that it's a democracy. Both of them will trash that for the sake of their own power and, more importantly, their own egos. For Trump, it is absolutely paramount to get elected so that he can twist the entire legal system to get off from all the crimes he committed. And those absolute cowards in the judiciary, whose only job is to make the system look legitimate, that are refusing to do it and are pandering to him instead. And there is Biden, willing to trash and destroy his own party that he really believes in, simply for the sake of his own ego, and will not step aside. This isn't just an election where people don't want either candidate. I mean, that happens fairly often enough. But we have an election where neither party even really, they're both suicidal at this point. The Republican Party refuses to stand up against Trump because they want to win and will tank the entire country to do it. The Democratic Party is refusing to stand up to Biden, even though it's going to cost them the election. It's not directly the same thing, but it is the same, and that they are both refusing to do anything. Come on, Biden, please step down. Please step down. Please step down. You're a danger. Tell you what, Jack, I'm just going to keep going. Both of those parties will refuse to do what is necessary and remove the guy in power. And we are supposed to believe, Mr. Regular Everyday Person is supposed to believe that this is a democracy. We're supposed to be fooled into thinking that this is a legitimate system for the people, by the people, and all that complete BS. As it is right now, the ruling class in the United States, those who really rule things, the wealthy elite, can't even get their stuff together to even keep up the appearance that this is a democracy. They are both so utterly tied up in their struggle against each other. Yes, there's different camps of capitalists. It's not completely monolithic. They have some monolithic interests, but in the end, they are both still competing against each other. That's the point of capitalism. not the conspiracy theory notion of a ruling elite that are all completely unified into one complete totality where no one disagrees with anybody else in a completely detached from reality kind of conception of monolithic power. In real life, there are competing interests, and those capitalists who are competing against each other are tanking their own country and the veneer of democracy of the system for the sake of what? One is inaction in order to win and destroy the country. The other one is inaction to do something against Biden, who's going to ruin it. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to say this now. For the longest time, I was of the opinion, I have no idea who's going to win the next election. But I will tell you this. If Biden does not step down, Trump will win. It would take something almost short of a miracle for Trump to lose at this point. I still think in the end it's going to be relatively close. And the entire Democratic platform is still going to be, yeah, but do you want Trump to win? They literally have nothing to offer. But he's not Trump. That's their candidate. Doesn't stand for a goddamn thing. Hasn't done anything that he said he was going to do. Build back better. Well, there was no building back, so you can't say if it was better or worse because it never took place to begin with. More migrants have been deported under Biden than both Trump and Obama. So that whole nonsense about making things better for migrants was a lie. There was no stopping of the construction of the wall. It's still going on. The funding for it is still going. Essentially nothing changed. The only thing that changed was the aesthetic of this whole thing. And still, people refuse to see it. They still refuse to see what a fraud the U.S. political system is. And it's because of that the guy who presents frankly, the biggest threat to that veneer is the one who's going to win. Ironically, a system that is desperate and wholly needs to make you think it's real is going to have the guy on top is the one who is the biggest threat to that. Because the ruling class are so busy fighting with each other, they don't even see the dominoes falling around them. Is there some great economic catastrophe coming as a result of this? Probably not. I don't think that's really going to be the case. There will, in this case, there'll probably be more of a political collapse, a loss of faith in the system. I mean, look at it. It was only half of people eligible to vote in U.S. federal elections actually do. People know this is a joke. It's not that they're marginalized by obstacles to voting, although that is true in many areas, particularly if you're black. But people know this isn't real. People know this is a joke, that this is not a real choice. The system is a fraud. This is why some countries like Australia force you essentially at gunpoint to vote. No, we're not really putting a gun at you. We're just saying we're going to arrest you, prosecute you, and throw you in prison if you don't vote. But trust us, bro, it's a democracy. We're just forcing you to vote against your will. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that came up under some future president. Well, if you don't vote, then you hate your country or some kind of nonsense, and we'll throw you in jail if you don't, or something like that, or come up with some kind of an excuse like, well, we need to balance out all the illegal immigrants that are voting, which aren't voting because they can't vote. Which, strangely enough, that's a thing happening in Canada now. There's far-right morons who think that illegal immigrants are voting for Trudeau when they can't vote. Legal immigrants are voting for Trudeau when they can't vote. You have to be a citizen to vote. And yet they really believe that people who aren't citizens are actually just voting for Trudeau. So yeah, our right-wingers our far right-wingers are as dumb as yours. Make no mistake. But that's where everything is right now. It is utterly insane. There is not, the system is like literally looking at itself in the mirror, watching itself die slowly. And neither one of these parties will do what is necessary to save its veneer of democracy. And that is what's truly scary about all of this. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.